The long-awaited moment has finally arrived. Yesterday, we had a conversation about it, and I mentioned, folks, until we get more details, let's put this aside and move forward. Now, we know that Joe Milton is heading to a new team, and we're going to explore the positives, negatives, and even the more complicated aspects of this transition. Here, we offer daily content about the team. Keep following our journey in the rankings, and feel free to share your opinions in the comments, as we're interested in your perspectives on the matter. Now, let's get to what really matters. Folks, Joe Milton has been traded to a new team. Let's note a slip-up from ESPN regarding the team's name, which happens. We know Dak Prescott needs a backup after a player left in search of a guaranteed contract and possibly a future title, considering the team's potential. As for the team, they continue to disappoint in decisive moments. Now, let's examine the trade in more detail. The new team acquired Joe Milton along with a 2025 7th-round draft pick, number 217 overall. The previous team, on the other hand, received a 2025 5th-round pick, number 171 overall. This results in a total difference of 46 spots. So, essentially, the previous team traded Joe Milton to move up 46 spots and secure a 5th-round pick. In today's episode, I'll break all of this down, present the facts, discuss opinions from different coaches and experts, as well as the assessments this trade received, which will be covered later. We'll compare some issues, and in the end, I want us to consider if this trade was beneficial. I'll provide a thorough analysis and present the data. We'll investigate what various coaches and analysts have said, as well as evaluate different opinions. In the end, think about whether this was a wise decision or an unfortunate choice, and I'll share my viewpoint after our discussion. Now, shifting focus to Joe Milton, this trade may not be something the new team values as much, and I want to address that right away. Before we discuss the negatives, let's highlight the positives. The first aspect is draft capital. They're moving up in their picks. Although this change of 46 spots may seem small, it is actually significant, translating into the acquisition of more talent, possibly securing at least one quality player. The difference between a 5th-round pick and a 7th-round pick can be quite significant, and this is an essential point. Secondly, Joe Milton is seeking to secure a starting role. There's an article that mentions his ambition for this opportunity, and everyone knows that an established player holds the leadership role, being an exceptional athlete who will undoubtedly become the foundation of the franchise. Joe Milton realized that his chances of becoming the starting quarterback were limited unless an unexpected turn of events occurred. Some believe Joe Milton should be the starter, but that idea is misguided, and I'll address that shortly. Another positive is that now we can discard any debate about who should be the starter. It's important to understand that there's a reason Joe Milton was drafted in the 6th round. Many may remember a well-known player, but it's crucial to realize that he was an exception in that scenario. We all agree on this, but there are other factors to consider. There's no cause for concern, as people should understand why Joe Milton was selected in the 6th round. While some may cite a notable exception, it's evident that there are unique situations when examining the statistical data. Now, as we look at quarterbacks standing out in the playoffs, we notice that most of them have first-round talent, and that's the point I want to emphasize. Again, this example presents itself as an exception, and the reason this figure is recognized as the greatest of all time is due to its uniqueness. Joe Milton, in this context, does not compare to this example. Therefore, these observations have their value. One last positive point when discussing the draft pick is the return on investment. The team that chose him, despite drafting him in the 6th round, is reaping the rewards because they're getting a better deal by trading him, considering what he showed. This is similar to acquiring an asset at a high cost and selling it with a slight appreciation. It's not a huge profit, but it can be significant, and we'll see how this plays out. However, there are still many questions that remain, especially since we haven't had the chance to see him play with his new teammates. Does he have the potential to be the starter? That's a question worth debating, as we know the usual starter might face injuries and unforeseen events will arise, but these are encouraging factors. I believe there are many positives in this context. Whenever we talk about investment, if you're getting some return, the decision is to sell. It's important to emphasize that there were no losses. That's a fact. So, these are the favorable aspects. We discussed that he didn't want to stay with the team, and now let's address the negatives. This generated some dissatisfaction regarding Joe Milton, and here we find an important detail. The first negative point about this trade is that he apparently received more attractive offers, but out of consideration for his situation, the best opportunity was given to him. The data shows that the team that drafted him had a more advantageous offer, but chose to send him to a destination of his choice as a gesture of respect. It's essential to remember that this is business, and whether viewed as harsh or not, the priority should be what's best for the organization. It's possible that a more attractive proposal came from an AFC team. Perhaps there were considerations for a specific team, but this remains uncertain. Among the potential suitors were teams like the Cowboys, Raiders, and possibly the Saints and Giants. While there's a recognition of the desire to support the player, the priority should be protecting the franchise's interests, putting the player's needs second. This view may seem harsh to some, but the reality is that the focus should be on pursuing titles and maximizing the team's potential. If the difference in the trade value was small and consisted only of a slightly better fifth-round pick, this might be justifiable. However, it's unlikely that all the details of this trade will be fully revealed. Some information may leak out in the future, and we'll have to wait and see how things develop in the coming weeks or even days. In any case, an important point to highlight is that a better proposal existed, but it wasn't accepted. Additionally, I have a feeling that the Patriots didn't get a trade that properly reflected the value of the player. Although they received a fifth-round pick, it's interesting to draw a parallel with another recent trade. The circumstances were quite similar, even if I can't recall all the details of the moment. The athlete in question was traded from his original team, and it's relevant to recognize that this pick was actually questionable. The idea of bringing in a local player might have seemed attractive, but ultimately it proved to be a substantial mistake. Regarding Milton, at this point, I can confidently say that I don't believe he'll become a starting quarterback. I'll explain the reasons for this opinion shortly, but I don't see him taking on that role. Will he have a chance? Yes, it's very possible that the starting player gets injured, giving Milton his opportunity. If the starting player doesn't perform well, it's certain that the fans will demand his entry, calling for him to take the field, as he's extremely athletic and has several key qualities. However, he still has gaps in essential areas, with consistency being one of the most important. I think the team could have gotten a greater return for him. Had it been a fourth-round pick, I would consider that closer to a major success. A third-round pick is the situation that comes closest to ideal, considering he only played in one game, which many would judge as underwhelming, although he did stand out by scoring one rushing touchdown and another passing. The fact that his value increased so much after just one game is remarkable, so I recognize the team's merit for that. However, I still don't consider they got the ideal return. Another frustrating point is that he's under a rookie contract, which means the team is paying a much lower value compared to other players. This brings benefits to the team, especially in light of the salary cap difficulties. Currently, he's under a rookie contract, which means the financial cost is low compared to other athletes, creating some discomfort. This situation ends up being advantageous for the team, especially considering the constant challenges related to managing the salary cap and other financial matters. Regarding his performance potential, I believe it's quite limited. The chances of him playing at a high level seem restricted, and if that happens, it's more likely to be for a short period. He may struggle to maintain consistency, but there's always a possibility that he surprises everyone, proves the critics wrong, and becomes a well-recognized player in several opportunities. That possibility is present. He does, in fact, stand out from other quarterbacks in various ways. When looking at his college stats, it's worth mentioning that he spent 6 years in academia. It's true that he had 1 year affected by the pandemic and another where he didn't play, but if he were truly exceptional, he probably wouldn't have stayed in that environment for so long. Moreover, he went to the same university where a renowned quarterback started his career, and many talents have emerged from that program over the years. Recently, a young quarterback with a promising future has been rising. It's worth noting that I'm a fan of another university, but I recognize the talent that has come from there, including the iconic quarterback. However, he lost the starting position and had a challenging season during the pandemic-affected year. After that, he transferred to another institution where he finally got the chance to be the starter in his final year. When the starter got injured at a certain point, he took the field. He played under a coach known for generating impressive stats. To give context, during the 2 years the starter was on the field, he accumulated a significant total of touchdowns with a low interception count each season. In contrast, when observing the performance of the mentioned player, the touchdown numbers were lower, along with a lower completion rate. Let me share some thoughts on the performance of quarterbacks in recent years. During the 2 seasons the starter was active, he registered a total of 31 touchdowns and 3 interceptions, followed by 27 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in subsequent years. On the other hand, the performance of the player in question resulted in only 20 touchdowns, with a lower completion rate and fewer yards, which is not ideal. The year the starter was present, many believe the team could achieve something significant, especially after a decisive victory. When the rookie entered the field, the situation seemed a bit different, with no major highlights. It's essential to understand why he spent so much time in college and was drafted later, as his skills do not align with the level of a professional starting quarterback. The team sees him as a backup, especially after the departure of an important player. There's a chance he might get the opportunity to take the starting role at some point, probably due to injuries in the roster. It's true that many quarterbacks who stood out in the league have passed through several teams, but over time, it becomes clear that they aren't material for starters. Examples of quarterbacks who've had stints with various franchises illustrate this reality. They're able to take the field and, though the term is not much appreciated, they manage the games efficiently. Therefore, it's likely that he will follow this path in his career, and it would be surprising if his trajectory took a different direction. So, gathering the favorable and unfavorable considerations, we can say that, on one hand, his selection brought a satisfactory draft value and a technical return on the previous investment. On the other hand, it's possible that the team could have made a better choice, as there was a superior option that wasn't seized, which could have benefited the player, considering he's at the beginning of his career with a rookie contract. The discussion about the starting position in New England raises several relevant points. It seems they could have reached a more favorable deal, but they missed the opportunity. A better proposal was left aside, which could have also benefited the athlete sent with a rookie contract. It's unlikely that any team would choose a quarterback in the 6th round this year who surpasses the potential this athlete offers. The quality of the quarterback class in this draft was considerably higher, so, in my view, this trade is more beneficial to the local team than to New England. When analyzing the assessments, the local team receives a high grade, while New England gets a rating I consider a bit exaggerated. Shortly after, information emerged that a player was traded to the Cleveland team, with a Philadelphia team sent him in exchange for a 5th-round pick and a backup player. They managed to obtain more than expected without needing to give up a 7th-round pick. Several analysts made quick comments on this situation, and one of them stands out. My final assessment of this transaction is a C+ grade. My main concern is simple. The big problem with the trade is that a better offer was available but wasn't explored. While we may never discover the details of that alternative proposal, it's frustrating to think about. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to Patriots Hub and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our New England Patriots. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The possibility of Tyreek Hill, the explosive Miami Dolphins wide receiver, making a shocking move to the New England Patriots has taken the NFL world by storm. Imagine this. One of the fastest players in the league, known for his jaw-dropping speed and game-breaking plays, now in a Patriots uniform. Could this be the game changer the Patriots need to rise from the ashes of their post-Brady rebuild? Rumors are swirling, and fans are eager to find out what's next for Hill, the man who redefined what it means to be a cheetah on the field. Hill's resume speaks volumes. Multiple Pro Bowl appearances, a Super Bowl victory, and a mind-blowing 2023 season with the Dolphins, where he led the NFL in receiving yards with 1,799. Yet, despite his record-breaking success, Hill's recent frustrations with Miami raise questions. After a disappointing season and missing the playoffs for the first time in his career, Hill's cryptic social media posts have fueled speculation about his future. Could a change of scenery be just what the doctor ordered? The Patriots, a team desperately seeking to regain their championship pedigree, might just be the perfect landing spot. New England's offense has been stuck in neutral since Tom Brady's departure, and adding a game-breaking talent like Hill could be the spark they need. Bill Belichick, known for his ability to adapt and make bold moves, might see Hill as the key to revitalizing a stagnant offense. With Mac Jones struggling to find consistency, pairing him with a wide receiver of Hill's caliber could elevate the entire team's playmaking potential. Hill's deep threat ability and electric playmaking skills could transform the Patriots' offensive identity in an instant. However, the financial side of this potential deal raises some concerns. Hill is undoubtedly one of the highest-paid wide receivers in the league, and bringing him to New England would require a significant investment. Would the Patriots be willing to fork out the necessary funds to acquire Hill, or would they instead look to bolster their offense through other avenues? The trade dynamics would be tricky, as New England would need to balance cap space with the immediate impact Hill could bring to the field. In the end, this rumor is more than just a speculative headline. It's a tantalizing possibility that has Patriots fans on the edge of their seats. Could Tyreek Hill be the missing piece in New England's championship puzzle? Only time will tell, but for now, the idea of Hill in a Patriots uniform is enough to keep the NFL world buzzing with excitement and anticipation. The chase for another Super Bowl might just be about to get a whole lot faster. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our New England Patriots, be sure to subscribe to Patriots Hub and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.